Nice to have a week off.
Aye. Well,
Too much?
yeah. No, not really. You know me. Simple life.
Anyway, good to be back. Anyway, we had a letter.
A letter?
A letter.
We never get letters.
Our very, very first letter. Oh, it's from the Department of Player Safety.
Ooh. What have we done now?
Due to you not broadcasting last week, we're giving you a 10-game ban. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. Brilliant. Thanks for your help. Thanks a lot. Great stuff. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
Finally.
Fine. Wow. Good news.
Go on.
That was Max Beerbry.
How's that good news?
He says, well, because we're Nottingham, we'll get away with it. We're back.
This is Whiskers TV.
Aaron can't unfortunately join us tonight as he's away with work, so I'm delighted to welcome Andy Haywood from Panthers Hockey Live, who steps in. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Anytime.
And of course, Paul joins us as always.
So you're going to forget me for a minute?
Well, how could I possibly forget you?
Now,
I think we'll start with I think a solid win for Panthers on Saturday.
Spectacular.
But solid. And a win.
I was agreeing with you.
And a win. Yeah, I think a good 3-1 victory against what looks like a much improved Cardiff side.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Paul. I don't think there was anything flashy about the result, but at the end of the day, it was solid. Like I say, I'm taking both sides here. We did.
I was agreeing with him.
We did exactly what we needed to do. There was, some real good hockey plays. All 3 goals were very well worked. The second one in particular was superb.
Second one was beautiful.
Excellent.
I mean,
Excellent,
a complete, complete rink.
The transition was superb. It really clicked.
I tell you, I did think I had a very, very good game on Saturday night, and that was Greg Chisina, and there was a lot of eyebrows raised when he was re-signed. But I thought
There's a lot of eyebrows raised at that statement. But go on, keep going. Keep digging.
I thought he was excellent on Saturday. I thought he had a really good game.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's like you say, you got a first assist on Perron's goal for the second, and obviously he got the only assist, and it was all his tenacity to work for the second with the short-handed goal. So yeah, absolutely, he had a great game, and if he keeps producing like that, no one can complain. But somebody will.
Well, this is the Panthers we're talking about.
I'm here. Can you stop talking about me? I think the thing I'll take away from it is that we only gave Cardiff one decent chance all night.
And they took
it, and that's it. But we only gave them that one chance.
I mean, what was it? 19 shots, I think you was looking at earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that points to a very, very good defensive display. And I was also very, very impressed with how we set up defensively on Saturday night. Like you say, we just gave them the one clear-cut chance, which was taken very well by Colligan. Beautiful finish.
To be fair, as good as it was as well, it was a power play goal. So he was short-handed at the time as well. So it's promising signs.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Landry was really good.
Yeah.
Schmidt's looking like he might be my kind of player. Some interesting moves on the power play where he was quarterbacking it at one point. It's not what you expect from a stay-at-home defenseman, but it's versatility. But again, people like Mosey, I thought played with a lot of intensity and energy, which is what you're looking for.
And obviously he's playing out of position.
As well, yeah.
Another player who really impressed me with the way he was used was Jonathan Boxhill. I think the way they was using him, especially on the penalty kill with that sort of quick 20-second burst, just really skate after the puck carrier and then off. Another player come on, and then again at the end.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what he does. He's all about energy. And I think Nielsen seems to be playing in this season, from what we've seen so far, in a bit more of a role. And he looks as though he's thought about that and was playing to that role and was thinking about what he's doing. He wasn't, we sort of commented on him last season about how he used to fly about all over the place. At times it was like somebody let a balloon go. but he seemed to be, I don't know, playing a bit smarter, maybe? I don't know. It's early days.
Yeah. Of course, another couple of things, not relating to the game as such, but relating to the overall presentation of the game. Of course, there was a new video, which I think we'll come on to a little later, but also very, very different music. And I think Ken Feast, who's been on the show before, the Panthers DJ, did an excellent job in trying to create an atmosphere with some new tunes. He's obviously appealed on Twitter for the fan base to get involved and suggest what music that.
That's not always a good thing.
But I mean, there was a really good mixture, some good upbeat stuff, nice and loud. I know there was one or two complaints about how loud the music supposedly was, but
I think it was more in the breaks and warm up. Where you want to occasionally talk to people. I know you don't know anybody, so.
But I thought it was fine. But I thought a really good selection of music and really got the crowd going.
Did he play that Abbey?
Completely agree.
No.
Oh, completely agree.
Yeah. Of course, then there was a new video that, which probably hasn't been greeted as positively as the new music. As a video, I thought it was okay. It's always good to look back at the previous Panthers players that have played for the club. But I've got to be honest, I think the choice of music to accompany it was probably the wrong choice for me.
It was, well, I wouldn't even go that far. It's nice seeing all these faces, but it was like watching subliminal advertising. They were flicking through them that quickly that... it's no. It was like that. The only bit that really worked for me was the bit right at the end, where they film pause and the players coming out into the tunnel, and then just as that finishes, pause appears. So it's almost like it's supposed to be live.
You mean it wasn't?
You see, it worked then, didn't it?
Well, I think.
But the rest of it, I thought, we live in a society of moving pictures.
But yeah, I just think that can maybe do with a bit of improvement. And also, talking of improvements, and to sort of stick on the positivity a bit, I thought, I don't know if you've seen it, but we've got a new highlights package of the game that was on the Panthers website, released tonight. 7 minutes of highlights, different camera angles, great commentary, much improved.
Good. I haven't seen that, but I will.
So what you're saying is we've brought it up to the standard of everybody else?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
Sorry, I'm being negative again.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think at least it shows that they're listening and acting upon it and improving things, which can only be a good thing.
So sort the video out.
All right. Any other sort of results that stuck out from the weekend? I noticed that I've watched a couple of periods of the Premier Sports game on Friday night, which was Belfast and Edinburgh. I thought that for the two periods that I saw, Edinburgh were pretty much on a level with Belfast, and then obviously short bench, they tired. They was taking a lot of daft penalties as well, but it's a very early stage. But on that very limited view I saw of Belfast, they're not the force that they were last season just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're quite there, but then ultimately they've played a team that played relatively well for at least 40 minutes. They hit the post 2 or 3 times around the game, had a couple of breakaways, but ultimately, despite how not up to the level we expect from Belfast, they still scored 8 goals. So they're going to be there or thereabouts, but Edinburgh certainly look like they've much improved. They are massive this year, and I would like to think that would really help on their own ice.
Well, of course, they went to Hull on Saturday and got a really good 5-2 result. So it looks like things are improving at Murrayfield. Another team who's come out blocks flying are Braehead. Finners seems to have really put together a good side there, and our old mate Lee Salters getting a few goals to start the season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I keep seeing is how much we miss Lee Salters. To be honest, I'm not convinced. He's playing really well, don't get me wrong. But it's a completely new team for us now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, Clans win, obviously, at Belfast. I believe it was was only in the cup, but you know, at the end of the day, they've still gone to Belfast and won, which you know isn't particularly easy. But they do look like they've got a really good team. Obviously, they've got Stephen Meyer, who was at Sheffield last year, and he was very good. And to be fair, I quite love a look at Coventry.
Yeah, Coventry sort of come out and blocks flying a bit, but they 4-0 on Saturday, but then surprisingly, I suppose, losing to Cardiff when they seem to have the game in the bag at 2-0 up at the end of the second period.
Well, sometimes the team can sit back, can't they? You know, we've done it enough times. But I'll tell you what surprised. I mean, Cardiff, I thought Saturday night were okay. They weren't great. I don't think I'm going to like Clarkson.
See, I do.
I enjoyed what I saw of him playing for Cardiff. If he played for us, it might have been a bit different. But I was interested as well to see Dundee's results this weekend. You know, losing to
Hull and also losing to Coventry.
I think not having Galbraith, you know, that's going to be a shock for them, especially if they're giving away free beer again. He'll be disappointed by that. But I think it's interesting as well that they're not contesting his visa, the application. I mean, obviously, you know, we can read all sorts of things into that. And but yeah, you know, a team that a lot of people say, will do well again, struggled this weekend.
Yeah, still very, very early.
Oh
days,
yeah, get nothing for being top at Christmas. Never mind September.
No. So overall quick impressions of the first couple of weekends of the season.
Well, yeah, it's, obviously we've not had a great deal to look at with our European exploits, but obviously Belfast and Breda are sharing the lead at the top. They seem to be hitting on. I think obviously Sheffield have started relatively well. Obviously we've got a big win on Sunday. But yeah, ultimately it's going to be the same, 4 or 5 teams at the top battling it out, I would imagine. Teams like Dundee, especially last year, were absolutely fantastic, and they thoroughly deserve to be where they got. But by the same token, it's whether they're with the resources that they've got, whether they can sustain it over a full league season.
And this season, everybody knows. Dundee last season came out of nowhere, really. This season, everybody's going to be looking at them.
Yeah.
So to say,
it's going to be
we've got to watch these.
Pressure for them.
But I think Andy's right. I think we'll see, but I don't think much has changed from previous years.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. Going to have a look at some of your Ask CWTV questions a little later, but first, the news reaches us this evening that the leak in Sheffield's ice plant, or their pipework in their ice plant, has been found. It's being repaired, and they could be playing their game against Belfast on Sunday evening, which is good news for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to be wanting to play out of ice Sheffield for us any length of time. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, as much as we like to have a little joke at their expense, I mean that could be that could have turned out to be extremely costly for them.
I think also as well, it's a relief for the Belfast fans or any that have already booked flights or accommodation, because that would have been expensive, shall we say.
Another thing that I think we should talk about, and it's of course an awful lot of controversy over the past week in the Elite League, is the Department of Player Safety. But I said at the time that it was announced. I thought, great, it's a great initiative. Far more open, far more honest. You get videos of supposedly of the incidents, as we saw on Saturday, and it just makes the whole thing a bit more transparent. However, of course, we had what can only be described really as a bit of a debacle with the problem in
shambles is the word you're looking for.
Well, yeah, absolutely. In Edinburgh, with Brett Emerson getting a 10-match fine for something that hasn't really been reviewed because it wasn't caught on camera.
Yeah. I mean, first thing, am I the only person who, when I hear the Department of Player Safety, just thinks those 70s videos with Charlie and his cat, doing the whole health and safety thing? But it's the 10 games. The £1,000 is fair enough. Those are the rules. But the 10 games is ridiculous. It's 10 games because we didn't see it. Didn't see what? And you read the statement by them, and it essentially says he got 10 games because he was injured. Now, it was diagnosed with a concussion and was playing 5 days later. That's a different thing. But somebody's done a study in the NHL and find that 60% of concussion hits were legal. There was nothing called it was just one of those things happening. I'm not saying, yes, it's good that they're looking at it because, but to say you're going to look at every time a player gets injured and therefore ban somebody is ridiculous.
The thing we've got to also look at here is the fact that nobody's seen it, so no one will ever know if it was clean. No one will ever know if it was dirty.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that a lot of the Belfast fans that were at the game were saying the hit was good.
A lot of these things, a lot of the times you'll see hits, and it's always the innocuous ones that seem to do the most damage. Chris Higgins already this season in the CHL, it was a nothing play along the boards, and he gets injured. Go back to last year, the Brent Henley one against Riga was really bizarre. It's always the innocuous ones to do a thing. I think with the Department of Player Safety, I think the initiative is great, and I really do like what they're trying to do with it. I just think the implementation so far has been ridiculous.
Well, moving on, obviously the second decision they made came from Saturday's game between Fife and Sheffield at Fife. And of course there was video, we've all been able to see that, where Mark Thomas was given a 1-game ban for boarding on Danny Stewart of the Fife Flyers. I've got to say, from watching the video again, I think Mark Thomas is quite lucky to get away with only a 1-game ban compared with other hits that have received more severe bans. And I know people said that his previous conduct has been taken into account, which is fair enough. But are you then saying that, say, Brent Henley, to use an example, if he'd have done exactly the same hit, would have got more because he had a reputation?
What we've done before is completely irrelevant. Every murderer kills somebody for the first time.
Yeah,
extreme, but
I know, I'm not comparing the. I'm not comparing the two. But it's the case. You check somebody to the head. It doesn't matter if you were skipping half an hour before you were skipping through a meadow picking daisies. Does it?
The thing is, ultimately,
Aaron's not here. Somebody's got to rant.
The punishment's got to fit the crime.
Yeah.
If someone with an exemplary record two-hands someone in the face, does he get a 1-game ban because it's the first time he's ever done it?
No,
whereas if someone who's got a dirty record does it, gets 12 games or 20 odd games for it, where do you draw the line? I don't buy the good conduct record. Yes, it might be out of character, but by the same token, it doesn't alter the fact that it's a dirty hit. And it's one of those things. I think 3 games probably would have been, I don't think they could have argued about it if it was 3 games. It's one of the things.
It's Sheffield, of course, they'd have argued about it.
It's one of those things. It's a fast game. He's seen Danny Stewart skating behind the net. He's thought, I can line him up here for a good hit. Stewart's passed it back behind him and kept going. And Thomas has followed through with his check.
I think we accept that years ago, a few years ago, that probably wouldn't have been called at all.
It would have been a penalty, I imagine. I think ultimately the problem is because of the problems and the worries that they have with head injuries in all sports now. It's the buzzword at the moment. I think any hit where a player is off balance and forced into the boards is always going to be subjected to reviews, no matter how no matter how seemingly legal the hit is or how dirty the hit is, it will always get reviewed.
Something else that sort of came out of that was obviously Max Babraya's comments on Friday regarding to the Emerson ban, saying that if it had been Panthers, there's no way it would have been 10 games. We've got a question from Panthers Banter saying, according to a few, if the Cats ban was on us, it wouldn't have been 10 games. How long would it be? Well, how can you possibly? I had a look actually. We got somewhere in the region of 20-25 games worth of bans last season.
You mean Brent Henley got somewhere in the region?
Grimaldi.
Grimaldi, yeah. I think...
No, just the one complete. Sorry, ignore me.
I just think Mr. Babraya would do well to keep his mouth shut in future.
I think we ought to have a new slot on the show every week. What's Max going to blame us for now? Send in your suggestions.
I do think if it had been us, our management would have taken it further. I don't know. If I was an Edinburgh fan, I'd be.
Well, they are livid. They are absolutely livid
about the actual decision. At the end of the day,
they've got bigger fish to fry up there this week.
It's not Riley Emerson's fault that they've not got video evidence. It's not the fans' fault that they've not got video evidence. So why they're punishing those two is completely beyond me. But by the same token, if the people in charge and the people who are in touch with the league kicked up such a fuss about it, I imagine they probably could have got it reduced.
Who's told them? Who's told them that it was worthy of a 10-game ban if they didn't see it?
Well, the referee at the time only gave it 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Gave it 2 minutes.
So what's the difference? So who's told them?
Well, I know that Belfast did put in a supplementary discipline request.
See, that was something else I read as well, where someone said that with the initiative of the Department of Player Safety, they were hoping it was going to bring an end to this whole almost tattletaling sort of habit that everyone seemed to have last year, where it was a case of he did something nasty to us, so we're going to go to the league.
Yeah.
Pay a bit of money, get him to look at it, get him banned for the next couple of games. It'll work in our favour, it'll work against them, that type of thing. A lot of people seem to be hoping that this new initiative would stop that, but seemingly not. After one weekend, it hasn't.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we'll see. Obviously, it's a new initiative. It will take time to settle down.
Absolutely.
They've not probably started off greatly,
but
but I'm hoping that by the end of the season, we will be.
They've not out the conspiracy theories.
Well,
to be fair,
not at all.
By the same token as well, I don't necessarily think it's Belfast's fault. They've had a player leave the game who's injured.
They're well within their rights to ask for it to be reviewed. Of course they are.
I just think.
Well, those are the rules. If you're not doing that, then
absolutely. I just think the league have got it wrong with the amount of games that Emerson's got.
Okay, moving on to another question. This one from Ben Stratton. It says, Radio Nottingham reported that Neil Black was in talks with Nathan Robinson to stay for the full season. What are our thoughts? And I did hear about that. Apparently it was on the pre-match show on Saturday evening. So that's...
You can see his quality.
Yeah.
You can see his quality.
Head and shoulders.
Yeah. There's things... I think I saw somebody likening how he is now to how David Ling was at the start of the season. He's got to, he is that much better, and he's got to get used to the people he's playing with.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I was moaning at one point on Saturday night. I know, about him not passing, and then he put an absolute laser diagonally across in the third period. And you think, I think. Yeah, I mean, the quality's there. Then if we can keep him, you'd be daft not to.
He's different class.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he's the type of player that would not even look at Nottingham. The league, full stop. He probably wouldn't have even looked at the league if it wasn't the fact that we're in the CHO. The chances were that we were never going to get any further than the 6 original games, and obviously we won't now.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if we've if we've put a good impression on him. He's enjoyed his time.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a big offer from somewhere in Europe, which is always going to be the problem when you pay him these type of things.
Yeah.
And you've got that type of quality. We'd be daft not to keep him. The guy's different class.
You have to look at it. For me, it's as simple as: does him being in the squad improve the team?
Yeah.
Does his presence improve the team?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Therefore, absolutely, if we can keep him, all well and good.
And if he is staying, if you've got his bike, give it him back. Naughty.
Final question for this segment. I think
You want me to shut up, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you're on the show, I think it's a pertinent one. Being you do like the rumbles. No, you can come back. You can come back. This is from Off the Blocker, who says, "Do you think the lack of enforcer will hurt us being the Panthers, in the long term?"
I'd like to say yes, as a fan of that type of thing, but I think unfortunately the way the game's going, no, I really don't think it will. We've seen already that a couple of guys are willing to get into the mix. At the end of the day, we've played a team on Saturday that everyone seems to be talking about as being the rough boys of the league because it's Cardiff and that's what they do. You know, and we've coped. You know, it's one of them things. I'd like to see one, but by the same token, the team that we've built is very much based around working as a team. And if that's the way it works, and that's the way that the leagues are going these days, then unfortunately for me,
you can't just bring in somebody just purely to do that anymore. And it was good Saturday night. You know, both two sort of fights that we had, both came out of players sticking up for other players.
Yeah.
Landry sticking up for Kowalski, Farmer sticking up for one of his teammates. I wasn't paying attention. Who got cross-checked in the back after the whistle had gone. So and for me, I mean, I enjoy a fight as much as the next man, as I'm standing next to you. Probably not if I was standing where you were, but that's more heartening to me. A team that sticks up for itself. A team that somebody that isn't necessarily going to go out looking for it, but if it comes, they'll go, yeah, go on then. They might win, they might lose.
Don't get
But
me
they
wrong.
went for it.
But yeah, they stood up.
Yeah.
There's
Stood up and back
there's always that worry whenever you come up against any team that's got 2 or 3 genuine big guys out there that are, proper heavyweights. I mean, you look at Emerson's, and you look at Brayhead with Frank and Salters and players like that, who can hang with the big boys. They may not necessarily be the big boys, but they can hang with them.
Yeah.
There's always that worry that they might use the physicality to intimidate. But ultimately, the team that we've got is based on speed. And we've seen it before when we've had these big guys. If they can't catch you, they can't hit you.
Exactly. And that was noticeable. I was going to mention the speed. That was noticeable Saturday night. We were a lot quicker
than what they were. Yeah.
than Cardiff. I think it'll be different in their place. Smaller ice pad. The big team. That's going to be a different game. But that's what they've done. They built a team.
But that's what you do, and ultimately that's what we've done. We've built a team around the bigger surface.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I can't see where an enforcer would fit into the team that we've got.
No, absolutely.
Currently, I couldn't see it. It would be a square peg for a round hole for me. So I just can't see it. Anyway, thank you very much once again for sending all your questions in. If you want to send questions in to us, please use our Twitter @CatsWhiskersTV and use the hashtag AskCWTV is on the screen now. Going to finish off with a look ahead to Panthers games this weekend, and then beyond that the final CHL home game against the Hamburg Freezers. So starting off Saturday night, the Sheffield Steelers in town in the Challenge Cup. They'll obviously be in a buoyant mood after their 8-1 demolition.
Is that a water joke, is it?
Supple buddies there.
Well, that's subtle, I got it.
So they'll obviously be quite confident coming into that after an 8-1 victory on Sunday evening. However, I think it's fair to say they've probably not played a top team yet in the league.
Right to complain to it.
So they may find Panthers a different proposition to what Fife were, especially I think defensively.
I'd like to think so. Certainly with us being the home team as well, I'd like to think that's going to be an advantage for us. At the end of the day, they're a good team. They always will be a good team, but I'd like to think it will be better. I'm looking forward to this one, to be fair. It's all the first one I always look forward to. It's the 9th and 10th.
Your interest wanes just a little bit.
But obviously, I'm looking forward to rekindling the rivalry, and it should be a good game. I think the first one as well is always quite interesting to see how the players react. Because obviously they'll have...
A lot of them, it's going to be their first time in that.
They'll have spoken to the players that have been around, and they'll have seen what's been written on the websites and the forums. You know, it's always interesting how these goes. At the end of these days, these guys have played each other all around the world usually. A lot of them know each other, and if they don't know each other, then you know they usually find out pretty quick. Yeah, you know, it'll be a good game. I'd like to think defensively we should be able to shut down that wonder line for them.
The line that's going to win them trophies this season, according to some of their fans. But I'm expecting quite a tight game for myself. I think it'll be very, very close. I think 1 or 2 goals either side. And I don't think it'll be a high-scoring affair either.
I'm not confident.
Oh, it's a while since we've heard that.
It is, isn't it?
Why?
I'm not. You know, they've come in on an 8-1 victory, so that went swimmingly for them, and I think they want to come here and make a splash. And I'm going to stop because I'm stopped to give myself a minute to think of some more. What?
No diving jokes.
No. I'm sure. It'll be 2 referees, won't it?
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, the 4 linesman system.
Moving on to Sunday and our first visit.
Dive in. Go on, get off.
Our first visit to the Sky Dome to take on Coventry Blaze. Always seems to be a feisty affair when we play Coventry, and generally always a decent game as well.
Yeah.
And they've obviously started the season very well. So again, I'm expecting another close game.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think they're gonna. I think they've certainly improved over the past few years. Looking at them so far this season, and I'd like to think that they would really try and target their home form as a bit like Cardiff, turn the Sky Dome back into a fortress and make it very difficult to go there. So I'd like to think that you know it would be very close because ultimately that's what makes good hockey games.
Yeah. It's been a long day. I haven't said that in a while either. It's. I think another game. I think we'll struggle. Well, we'll not struggle, but you know, it will be close. You know, it'll be two good teams. Coventry have improved, I think, a lot over the summer. So, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. That's right. It's very difficult at this point in the season because you've not seen the other team play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very difficult to predict. Then, of course, we move into a very, very interesting game on Tuesday, which, you know, in all intents and purposes, is a dead rubber when it comes to the Champions Hockey League in the group. But it's against Hamburg. Neither ourselves or Hamburg have got a point yet. Although Hamburg have conceded far less goals than what we have, they've actually scored a lot less as well. They've only scored once, whereas we have actually scored in every game.
We are the free scoring Nottingham Panthers when it comes to the CHL against Hamburg. Yeah, statistically.
An interesting question we got in Ask CWTV, but I wanted to hold it over till now. It's from Tony. Tony's Steelers fan, and he's been very actively supporting Panthers actually in the Champions Hockey League and bought tickets. So
he wasn't the one Aaron was ranting about.
No, he wasn't the one Aaron was ranting about. So I think, you know, to be applauded, it's always nice to get that support from around the league. He says, fancy your chances against Hamburg. Do you think both teams will play hard not to finish last?
Yeah, I really do. I think especially for us, because obviously with us being the wild card, all of the sort of question marks about whether we were doing the league a disservice and whether if we failed miserably we'd be asked back again as a league. I think a lot of that's going to ride on us. So I'd really like to think that will spur us on and really set a benchmark. I think if we are going to take points in this league, then Tuesday night will be the time to do it.
Yeah, I think it's not so much about will we battling on to finish last, because that's where everybody expected us to be anyway. It's if we can get a victory,
that'll be exceeding expectations.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. To be honest, talking about being free scoring, I'd take that as one of the positives. We've scored in every game.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see more of them come from the forwards, but we've scored in every game.
Yeah, and against quality sides as well.
And some of the, you know, when you look at the results, some of the teams that haven't scored, I mean, was it Bern got beat 7-0? You know, Hamburg, one goal out of 4.
That was a 10-3 game as well.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Oh, that's old school.
I think that was Sonderus as well. We played in
So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the game actually, because I think it is a big chance to show what we can do. I think a lot of it also depends on how Hamburg approach the game. Are they not bothered? Are they going to treat it as a dead rubber and just a bit of a skate and try not to get injured? I think a lot depends how they approach it as well. Because I genuinely think we are going to go all out to try and get a win.
Yeah, I obviously there's the old adage, but it's England and Germany as well, which, whether you like it or not, will always get brought up with these type of things. And I personally think they will. I don't think they would like any sort of chance that we would finish above it. At the end of the day, that would be more embarrassing for German hockey if we finished above them than it would be
by a mile.
if we lost every single game.
Yeah, by a mile.
You know, so I think they will play hard. I certainly think. I think Tuesday is our best chance of getting points. I think if we take the points on Tuesday, the away trip to Hamburg, you will see a completely fired up Hamburg side of that.
Okay, well, I think we shall leave it there for this week. Thanks, Andy, for stepping in.
No worries,
for Aaron, and thanks, Paul, once again. We will be back next week, not sure when, due to the Hamburg game.
And Kylie Minogue.
And Kylie Minogue, yes, of course. Well, I don't know which one is better there, actually. Anyway, we will see you next week. Goodbye.